Hi everybody, this is Joel Kennedy with Kennedy Violins. So the question that we're going to answer today for today's video is, why was the violin or viola shoulder rest invented? And of course, we'll be talking a little bit about whether you should be using one or not. So the simple answer to why the shoulder rest was invented is because it makes playing easier, okay? So there's two main reasons for that, and we'll go into that. Now, there's some pretty famous violinists who did not use shoulder rests, like Zuckerman, Perlman, Stern, Galamian, and Sophia Mutter, Heifetz, right? These players are all pretty famous for not using them. Now, they kind of use, a lot of times they would use some form of a crutch, if you want to call it that. Some of them use sponges or leather or cloth or some other stuff to kind of help out. And, you know, players, especially of old and more formal times, you know, the men, they would have these really heavy tuxedos or suits that they played in, which of course added a lot of padding, which kind of helped out as well. But they didn't play on what would be known as a modern shoulder rest. Now, the modern shoulder rest as we know it is probably a variation of the Kuhn rest that first came to market around 1972. Now, technically, the first shoulder rest was supposedly invented in 1936, but the shoulder rest that most of us know was created or brought to market by Kuhn, and that was in 1972. And most of the rests that we're familiar with have like these rubber feet on them, and then they have some kind of synthetic material here that's got a curve in it that contours your shoulder, basically. And a lot of times they're foam or plastic or rubber or carbon fiber. Now, some of the nicer ones are wood, right? We could talk a little bit about that later, but this is the rest that most of us are familiar with. So as I mentioned, the shoulder rest basically makes playing the violin easier. So the first big reason is because the shoulder rest bridges or helps bridge the gap between your chin and your shoulder blade or your clavicle, okay? So when you put the violin up, right, you have to hold the violin up somehow. Well, the shoulder rest basically just makes it thicker, right? So it just makes it easier to hold it up. So if you don't have a shoulder rest, right, just remove that. Well, now the violin's a lot thinner, and now you've got this bigger distance, and you have to have your hand to hold it up, basically. So the thinking for most people is that, you know, I don't want my left hand to have two jobs. I'd rather have it one job. So one job would be fingering it, the other one would be holding the violin up. Well, hey, let's put a shoulder rest on, and now I don't have to use my hand to hold it up. I only have one job for my left hand, and that's, you know, doing the left hand finger work in the instrument. Okay, so the second big reason why people use shoulder rest is because it reduces the probability of tension, pain, injury, all those kinds of things. Well, why is that? Well, if you remove the shoulder rest, okay, now it's going to be more difficult for you to bridge this gap or hold or keep your instrument in place and not flopping around and stuff like that. So you might have the tendency to maybe put your instrument in the wrong place. Maybe you'll put it too far center. Maybe you'll put it too much to the side. Maybe you'll pinch like this and then you'll hurt your neck. You could hurt your back. You could cause tension. But you have to remember that the number one challenge with a stringed instrument, our number one enemy with the violin, is tension. So as a general rule, people will usually try to figure any way that they can to reduce the probability of creating tension, because tension is our number one enemy. So now the question becomes, do you need a shoulder rest? Oh, and before I go into that, I just want to mention really quick, if you could take a moment to like and subscribe to the video, that'd be cool. I create new videos every week, and I've got a ton of people watching the videos who aren't subscribed, so you might as well take a second to hit that subscribe button and subscribe. My goal is to get quadruple the amount of subscribers that I have now, and the only way it's going to do that is if you thousands and thousands of people out there actually subscribe and like the videos, and then, you know, Google will like us and everybody's happy. So anyways, the question is do you need a shoulder rest? The short answer to the question is depends. Sorry, it depends on a number of physical factors for the most part. So everybody has a different distance here, right? Some people have long necks, some people have short necks, some people have wide necks, some people have narrow necks, and it also depends on the shape of your shoulders. Some people's frames are square. Some people's shoulders slope a lot. So if you have sloping shoulders, or you have a longer neck, or you have a narrower neck, this can contribute to it being more difficult for you to be successful with your instrument without a shoulder rest, meaning you're playing it properly, you have fewer issues with tension, injury, pain, stuff like that. So it is possible, of course, to not use a shoulder rest. And some people, because of proper technique and because they're physically better fit for not needing a shoulder rest, those people, perhaps they can just go without one. For the most part, most of us, we're just going to want a shoulder rest just to kind of rule out all those potential issues. Now, there is one particular downside to shoulder rest, besides the fact you have to buy one, right? And that is that your violin arguably will never sound as good with a shoulder rest. Why? Well, your violin or viola is a vibrating box, right? It has to vibrate. Now, obviously, if you've got this clamp, right? It's got rubber feet, it's got a synthetic body in all likelihood, that inhibits vibration, right? So you're clamping this thing on your violin, and then it's reinforced by this bar right here, and then you're putting pressure on it with your body. That creates a situation where your violin or viola is not vibrating as much as it normally would. So that's going to have an effect on the sound. It's not going to be as responsive. It's not going to have that natural, as organic sound as it would otherwise, but the difference is pretty small. It is there, but most people don't really hear it or can take advantage of that fact unless they're super advanced and they're just a really, really high level. So most of us are willing to take that compromise in sound quality for the comfort and ease that a shoulder rest provides. So guys, I hope this video helped. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, just put them right below. I answer pretty much every question. If you want me to do another video, let me know. I'll probably do it, okay? So anyways, I hope you guys have a great day. And with that, I'll bid you adieu.